games often do stuff with style, really embellishing stuff that couldn't be real. And yet, somehow, we end up with incredibly lifelike stuff that happens all the time. Hi folks, it's Falcon, and today on gameranx, the 10 game levels with the most realistic graphics, part 2. Starting off with number 10, Horizon Forbidden West, Still Sands, and Dune Hollow. Horizon Forbidden West can be ridiculously beautiful, but nobody's going to confuse a screenshot from this game with real life. It's set thousands of years after the fall of civilization as we know it, so while the game takes place in recognizable locations, these places are all half buried and dilapidated. Like, look at the game's version of San Francisco. It's an overgrown jungle, but you can still spot a lot of recognizable places like the Golden Gate Bridge, Lombard Street, the Palace of Fine Art. It's all fallen apart, but it's still there, and it's in the exact spots they're supposed to be in. So San Fran is pretty interesting, but easily the most impressive recreated city in Forbidden West is Las Vegas. You could find the City of Sin in the southernmost part of the map, with most of the buildings buried in the sand. Even with everything destroyed though, you can still tell it's Las Vegas. You got the Ferris wheel, Caesar's Palace, and impressively a really accurate recreation of the Caesar's Palace Mall. And of course, the Hotel Paris. What really makes this area interesting is not just desert where you can see the city, there's also an underground section where you can see the strip from street level. And it's in way better condition than any other ancient ruin in the game. Everything is just incredibly detailed and surprisingly real-world accurate, which is all the more impressive because they didn't just take pictures and rebuild the city, they had to add in tens of thousands of years of wear and tear on top of it. At number 9 is Hitman 3's Dartmoor mission. We put the Shanghai mission from Hitman 3 on the last list, mostly because it has this incredible moody lighting and rain-slicked ambiance. But it's hardly the only good-looking level in the game. Dartmoor, the murder mystery mission, set in an old English country house, isn't quite as flashy as Shanghai, but in terms of realistic details, it is super impressive. So, as far as Hitman missions go, it's relatively small, but it makes up for that in depth. Every single room is packed with the most minute details, from polished floors to leather-bound chairs. It's all incredible looking. The whole place feels both immaculate and lived in a way few games do. It helps that you can freely explore every single room available, and also everything makes sense and connects together logically. The indoor areas are easy to complement. The gloomy outdoor environments are pretty photogenic as well. These games always have fantastic skyboxes and horizon details, and for this one it's mostly rolling hills, but it's incredibly realistic how it's rendered. Talking about the interior again, one thing the devs really deserve props on is all the mirrors found in the estate. So many games struggle with mirrors of any kind, even now, but these games somehow found a way to make mirrors work, and not even ones in small confined areas like bathrooms. It's gigantic mirrors in some of the biggest halls of the mansion. It's not small, although mirrors are not really that impressive, say, in real life. It just makes the game feel a lot more real, and this level has some of the best mirrors in the game. At number 8 is Deus Ex Mankind Divided, Prague. There's one thing that absolutely has to be complimented about 2016's Deus Ex Mankind Divided. It's the hub city of Prague. Looks amazing, like a phenomenal combination of old world architecture and techno-brutalism, and even after all these years, it's one of the most beautiful open world areas ever put into a game. It's not huge, but what's there is absolutely amazing. You got street art, monuments, postmodern sculptures that were created by real artists, and it all goes a long way in selling how realistic this area feels. Many games try to either go too far with sculptures and sell the futuristic aspect of the story, or they're too dull to really spark the imagination, but the art installations found in Deus Ex's Prague feel credible while still being appropriately strange. The old school parts of the city are especially realistic though, and that's really part of what makes it all work. The recognizingly retro stuff combined with the sci-fi gives the city this feeling of many European cities today, with the new and the old sitting side by side. Of course, Prague is already a beautiful city in real life, but the additional elements are what make it Deus Ex. And the fact that it's still recognizably Prague as hell after that just goes to show you how much work they put in to making the city feel as real as possible. At number 7 is The Last of Us Part 1, the prologue. In the last list, I mentioned a lot of the amazing mundane details of Nathan Drake's house in Uncharted 4. It's a really good-looking house, but the remake of The Last of Us from 2022 really upped the game. You only see it for a few minutes, but the details in these rooms are absolutely unbelievable. Like, look at Sarah's room right at the start. The beanbag, the dirty clothes, every little thing is made with the most precise detail imaginable. The same goes for the hallway bathroom. I thought the bathroom in Uncharted 4 was amazing, but this is even better. It's not as flashy in some ways. Like Joel's house is intentionally kind of drab and old looking, but that only makes some of these spaces look that much more realistic. When you leave the house, the entire car ride sequence is so real looking at times, it's almost uncanny. You can tell the characters aren't real, but some of those views outside the window, like the burning farmhouse or the huge line of traffic, look completely amazing. The Last of Us Part 1 probably wasn't necessary. It really improves the graphics of the original game, but it's arguable that really needed to happen. But I mean, damn, those new graphics are really impressive. At number 6 is Assassin's Creed Origins, the Great Pyramid at Giza. The recent Assassin's Creed trilogy of Origins, Odyssey, and Valhalla have some pretty fantastic visuals all around, especially if you like epic vistas. Certain cities like Athens and Odyssey are actually pretty accurately recreated as well, and in general, the English countryside in Valhalla can really look amazing. But for this entry, I just want to focus on a really specific location. In my mind, what really stands out in all three of these games is the Great Pyramid in Origins. What makes it so special is that the devs put a shitload of work into making this place as accurate as possible. Like everything from the scale to the Sphinx to the actual interior and tomb portions of the pyramid, all as accurately recreated as possible. Seriously, everything down to each individual chamber was recreated just as they appear in real life, accounting for some weathering in the past 2,000 years. It's an amazing recreation that's so good you can take a very detailed virtual tour of the place and you'll get pretty much the same experience as visiting the pyramid yourself. Obviously, the real thing is going to be more impressive because, you know, it's real, but there was a real effort to make this the most realistic pyramid ever made for a video game. I want to quickly mention the city of Alexandria here as well because it's just remarkably beautiful in Origins. Now, it's not realistic because it's one of those ancient cities we really don't know what it exactly looked like, but it looks incredible and is a lot of fun to just wander around in and explore. At number 5 is Kingdom Come Deliverance's Talmberg Village and Castle. Kingdom Come Deliverance fills a very specific niche as far as historical games go. It tries in so many ways to create the most realistic depiction of Bohemia circa 1403. For modern Americans who aren't well versed in European history, it's almost like observing an alien civilization. It's so different from what we're used to. Visually, the game isn't the most eye-popping thing, but there are moments where it can be hard to distinguish what's real and fake, especially when you're just wandering the roads. Rather than trying to be as visually beautiful as possible, Kingdom Come dedicates its considerable graphic power to realism. Everything from huts to roads to the basic daily routines of people is more realistic than what you see in most games, and while it's not always pretty, it can sometimes look barren and ugly. In fact, it's a more accurate representation of the Middle Ages than pretty much any video game ever made. Just the way the roads wind through the countryside or the haphazard way towns are built, it just makes everything feel so much more real than most games, which are built to make towns easy to explore with all the main landmarks easily marked and simple to find. That's not the case in this game. If you want to get around town, you're gonna have to wander around for a while to figure out exactly where you're going. It's a game that can look pretty ugly at times actually, but also incredibly beautiful and nearly photorealistic. At number 4 is The Order 1886 Chapter 1. This 2015 game is kind of incredible because in a lot of ways it still holds up visually. The fact that a PS4 launch title is still one of the best looking games ever is really a compliment to the devs ready at dawn. The game is arguably kind of a tech demo, but it is an impressive one, at least. For me, the big wow moment of this game is pretty early in Chapter 1. In it, you spend a little bit of time walking through some buildings and London streets, and while there are a few fantastical elements, for the most part, it's really just a really accurate recreation of 19th century London. At the time, the detail dedicated to random environmental details and props is unbelievable, and it still looks like genuinely great now. Like, you could put this out now and people would be like, that looks good. It's the little things like the folds and the rugs, the shine on a lamp or a puddle on a cobblestone streak. They look all amazing, and the bigger moments are also impressive, like the start of a mission where you're rappelling down the side of a blimp and the fabric of the balloon actually distorts when you step on it. That's cool also. The game's filled with little details like that, and while the gameplay's pretty standard, the visuals are extremely impressive. At number 3, Gran Turismo 7's Daytona International Speedway. You could pick any real-world raceway from this list and it would work, but I'm going to go with this one because it's one of the most famous racetracks in the world, the Daytona International Speedway. It's iconic, and Gran Turismo 7's version of it is truly stunning. The thing about the game is you're not going to get a whole lot of perfect photogenic screenshots as something like Forza Horizon 5, but if you want shots that are pretty hard to tell from the real thing, this is where to go. If you mess around with photo mode, it can be seriously hard to tell what's real and what's pretend, even though pretty much all of it is pretend, and that's especially true with this track. It's hard to go into details here because it's just Daytona. It looks almost identical to the real thing, and that's pretty amazing to pull off. At number 2 is Ghostwire Tokyo's Shibuya. Yeah, basically the entire game takes place in the infamous Tokyo district, but the whole thing was pretty amazingly detailed. Almost every major landmark is nearly perfectly recreated here, and the resemblance is uncanny. Even something as basic as the public telephones and postal boxes, they're really amazing. They're the same. They look real. It's not just the recreations either. The interiors in this game are just eerily realistic as well. Like, seriously, some of these hospital interiors could easily be confused for a real place. Like, put that on the volume LED wall sets and you could film in them and people wouldn't question it. Everything feels so carefully made and precise in this game. Like, there was a certain pride in creating a world that's just as mundane as the real one. It makes all the supernatural elements really stand out too. Even though it's easy to focus on the ghosts and the floating objects and the sometimes surreal transformations that take place right in front of you, sometimes you just gotta stop and look around a little. It can be a fast-paced, action-packed game, but it's worthwhile to stop and look at some of the more detailed environments because, wow, are they impressive. And finally, at number 1, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2's Tradecraft. Modern Warfare 2 isn't quite as realistic as the first game, and there really isn't any standout mission like Clean House. What it does have, though, is some of the most accurate recreations of a specific street in Amsterdam ever made in a video game. Talking about Tradecraft, probably one of the shortest missions in the game. It all goes by so fast it's easy to miss the details, but just stop and look around. It is amazing. Like, it looks so good that someone even took the time to go to the exact spot in the real city of Amsterdam to compare, and it's honestly shocking how close Modern Warfare 2's version is to the real thing. That said, not everybody is completely happy with the recreation. As games get more and more realistic, this is probably going to become a bigger issue too. Like, regardless of whether certain individuals approve of it or not, I gotta say, Modern Warfare 2's version of Amsterdam is one of the most realistic in-game locations ever built. It's short and it's small, but the details they managed to pack into it, it's really next gen. And that's all for today. Leave us a comment. Let us know what you think. If you like this video, click like. If you're not subscribed, now's a great time to do so. We upload brand new videos every day of the week. Best way to see them first is, of course, a subscription, so click subscribe. Don't forget to enable all notifications, and as always, we thank you very much for watching this video. I'm Falcon. You can follow me on Twitter at FalconTheHero, and we'll see you next time right here on GameRanx.